This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. These are three concepts that we're following currently, three things we're watching currently. First is this concept of well care versus sick care. As people probably know, we live in a medical world, a healthcare world, a nation where we really focus on sick care. And in the concept of people being sick and even preventive medicine, we're at a spot where we're short something like 200,000 doctors. And I often say that so many of the plans are so messed up and that somehow or another we've got to solve the problem of getting more doctors going in our country, shorten residencies or medical school, produce more doctors. Medical school education was built a long time ago. When I talk about this, I will periodically get somebody that comes to me and says, look, I've had a long-time chronic illness, and I was able to solve a lot of this by improving inflammation in my country, in my body, and eating better environmental factors, really taking care of a lot of things that led me to get rid of a lot of the immunodisorders that I had. And this is obviously a growing body of thought, and I couldn't agree with it more, that if we all lost a lot of weight, we all took better care of ourselves, we're all much more careful about our fitness, our bodies, our healthcare, preventive health, we might not need so many additional doctors. I couldn't agree with this concept more. The reality is, I think it's a long way away. So I think in the meantime, we better trust but verify and produce enough doctors to take care of our people until we move to a healthier way of living. We've got obviously in our country an epidemic of obesity. I don't think that's changing anytime soon. And so we better have enough doctors, nurses, clinicians to take care of all these things. But we couldn't agree more. Quite frankly, if everybody took Ozempic, we'd probably be better off than somebody who doesn't have other bad qualifications. If everybody ate better and were physically healthier, we'd all be better off, including myself, the healthcare system. But in the meantime, I don't think we have a choice, but we're going to need more doctors, clinicians, and nurses to take care of our people. I love the comment. I love the criticism I got from somebody by talking about this, who says, we've got it all wrong. I don't disagree. I just don't think it's near term that we're going to fix this through better habits in our country. The second concept we're going to talk about today is this concept of, if somebody used the phrase this weekend in one context of a bad peace is better than a good war. And I think this concept is largely but not completely true. So often we stick ourselves in a bad peace even though it's no good, it's very unhealthy. I'm not talking about real war here. We're having the conflict we need to have, having the discussion we need to have, doing what needs to be done to create a better life would be worth doing, even though sometimes it's just so much easier to be in a bad peace than have a good war. I think the concept is fascinating. I largely agree with it, but I think it often becomes an excuse for being stuck in one steps versus moving forward and really taking yourself out of your comfort zone to where you should be. So I think that's a fascinating concept too. The third concept I'm going to touch on today is a great article in Yahoo Finance about how living longer is going to lead people to have to work longer and mix up their life and career environments. It's a great piece in Yahoo Finance, and I think this is unfortunately true. And the sad thing is, as the world gets faster and faster and gets more and more challenging for people in business, people in jobs, is we need to work longer and keep on making some money to avoid dipping into retirement savings, particularly if we're going to live to 80 or 90 or so forth. It becomes harder and harder for people to do so. So I think you do have somewhat of a conundrum here in terms of working longer, trying to keep away from dipping into retirement savings in a much more complex and fast-moving world. So that is, I think, a challenging issue. Again, three concepts we're thinking about today. We talked about here healthcare versus sick care. We talked about bad peace versus a good war. And finally, we talked about working longer. We hope you enjoy this. If you have any comments, please, of course, text Scott Becker, 773-766-5322. Thank you so much for listening, as always, to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you very, very much.